Report. Okay, I'll try again. Good evening. It's Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. This is the meeting of the City of Port Orchard Utilities Committee. We have two absences tonight. The mayor will not be joining us, and Councilmember Eric Wharton will not be joining us. I'll ask everybody to go around and introduce themselves. I'm Jay Rosapepe, City Council Member.
Dennis Ryan, Public Works Director.
Heidi
Jeff
Benton,
Hagelin.
council member.
Jeff Hagelin, Public Works Operations and Utility Manager.
Darren Pedraza, Public Works.
And Caden Kachardi, Public Works.
Thank you. We have a published agenda. Any other items for the agenda? All right, go ahead, Dennis. You got the show.
All right, so first up, council, you've heard a lot about our asset management. So just about, I want to say about 9 months ago, we made the decision on the system that we were going to purchase. It was the asset management system, Cartograph, also referred to as OpenGov. Initially, asset management was just going to take on our sewer infrastructure. We did have some savings, economies of scale. We're able to get the system and support our entire utility. So our team, Darren and Caden and our operations team have been busy uploading, recording, getting all of our sewer, water, stormwater asset infrastructure in place. I'm going to turn the screen over to Caden. He's going to pull up our program. We're going to give you a brief overview of what it looks like. We're going to show some maps of all of our mapped infrastructure for each of the utilities and just a little bit of our workflow that we're doing, and then maybe dig into like a sewer lift station so you can see the level. What you'll hear is if the lift station's the parent asset, you'll see all these components within the lift station, which is the child. So you'll hear a lot of this parent-child relationship. So it's just the hierarchy. You know, you've got your car, you've got your engine, you got your transmission, you got your tires. And I'll stop talking and let Caden and Darren take over there.
Awesome. The map I'm showcasing right now, this is our storm system. Everything here is, yeah, so this is going to be our storm utility system. And then if I click onto these other tabs here, I have them prepared for us. This is our water system out here on the left. You'll see this is McCormick and then town. And then our last utility system here is sewer. You can see all these are our assets here, our different asset layer types.
And if you were to zoom in,
Yeah, that's
every
what
one
I
of
was
the
going to say.
circles,
Yeah, to
is
show them what it looks like when you're looking
Yeah.
at the street. Yeah.
yeah, so those are manholes. So you see that big giant picture from far away. Those are, as you dig down, those are actually the manhole connection points. So those are assets among themselves too.
Yep. Every line you see, every dot. And if you can see, these dots are sometimes different colored, and that's because each layer has a color assigned to it. So these green ones you're seeing, we do have air vac here. I'm actually going to change that to be like blue so that all these green dots you see are our sewer lift stations. So there's Marina, Bay Street, and I'm actually going to open up, I think, McCormick Woods 2 and show you guys what that looks like. So I want to say it's this guy right here. So I'm going to open up one of our lift station sites. And if I click on the left here, there's this button called linked assets. And here's where we have those child assets Dennis was mentioning, installed underneath the parent, being that sewer lift station. So here you have your emergency diesel pumps, the actual pumps themselves, panels, and all those assets that live at this system. And it's
Could you Caden, tell them a little bit about like your options for setting up maintenance on those child assets, like recurring work order, inspection, triggering, automation, just a high clip view.
Yeah, so for example, if I wanted to do some work at these 3 pumps here at the McCormick Woods lift station number 2, you can open up any of these, and there's this button up here where you can create a task. And what's cool about this is there's all these different features as well as a miscellaneous catch-all But for the most part, we have an option for all of our big ticket maintenance items that we would do on these assets. And if I go here to this asset screen, it's just going to load here. I'm going to turn on something like our pumps.
While you're doing that, couple of quick questions because we've run into problems with as-built from years ago, not finding out or when we went there, it certainly wasn't what we expected. So I assume that the drill down can be just amazing what you're going to show us. Plus, I would assume that you would either be able to link or have, the manufacturer information, operating information to it, and the associated pictures.
I'm going to take that one, Caden. That's a great point, and my goal is it's not going to be overnight, but I come
No.
to you a lot of time in council meetings, and I say, hey, we had the chlorinator burned up at well 7, and we got to replace it, and it's an emergency, and it has to happen because we're not ahead of it. We're going to get into the forecasting where we're going to have a predictor, and we know that, hey, this is at the end of a life, and it's time to schedule this in our capital budget. So it's not a surprise. Jeff's team and Scott Wolf's team, I don't see Scott here, but like today, they were out doing TV and cleaning the sewer main line on Port Orchard Boulevard. That's one of those things with asset management. We've seen some issues. We're probably gonna have to do some repairs in there, but they're out there doing TV inspections. So they're out there. We're gonna go through our entire sewer system. We're gonna go through our entire storm system, and we're going to measure our diameter of our pipes. We're gonna be able to see what the condition is, and that's all going in here. So it's like we've got our as-built, and that is an issue. We have old as-built, not always accurate. 50 years ago, a lot of stuff done by the city was contracted out, or we just took the contractor's word for it. That's every agency in America, probably. So through this process and through this program, we are going to verify actual existing conditions.
And Jay, Caden has put a lot of make, model, serial number, horsepower on pumps. There's been a ton of that stuff going in there too. He could probably pull it up on one of these and show you.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing how far information systems have come. So this is only going to be an improvement on what we had. And you're right, Dennis. It's not a surprise to anything, but the fact is you can do you can schedule your maintenance, you can schedule your forecasting. That's all great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And in addition to this, so Caden's going to show you another. I don't want to interrupt if you're doing something else, Caden, but we're also accounting for what our crews are doing. So Jeff has this issue, and you've heard me in council saying, and you've been generous enough to in our budget process that we've been able to justify new utility positions, new parks positions. This process is going to give us the data that you can make data-driven decisions when it comes to budget. You eventually are going to see where our resources are actually allocated and how we're spending our labor resources.
So,
Yep. Sorry.
No, you're good. One tool that I wanted to kind of showcase that I thought was super cool Cartograph has to offer is I turned on our sewer pumps. And as you see here in the second column, there's 3 different station names. We have Albertsons, Bay Street, Bravo Terrace. And if I select all the pumps at all 3 of these lift stations, I can actually create work to be done all at once. So I don't have to create a different task for each different pump. You can bulk edit when you create work. And it just really helps streamline the software. To go to what Dennis was just mentioning, tasks. So these were completed tasks and showing kind of some of the work that was being done, priority scales, times, and yeah, a lot of really useful information here.
Now I had one, Dennis, I know this is, a public works asset management, but correct me if I'm wrong, this will also be able to be used in other areas of the city.
Yeah, so I get, it's probably wouldn't hurt to tell you about so I talked about the see-click-fix process. We did some process improvements a few weeks ago where we are now transcribing our see-click-fixes into this system. So they are generating email notifications to our crew leads, because we have individual crews now. We have parks, we have streets, we have water, we have sewer, we have storm, equipment rental. And so now we are capturing those in this system. So Katie, can you generate a map where all of our C-click fixes are? Like,
Yeah.
so you look at this and you're gonna see, like, if we have a park that has like I'm being just exaggerative, but if we had 15 instances in the same park, we got something going on there. So right there. So you know, this is where our population center is, and so you'd expect to see more of your C-click fixes in downtown. So we are just starting that process, and that's what's already in there, all those dots that you've already seen.
I'm going to recommend or, and ask, and Heidi, please chime in. I'm going to ask you to bring this to a work study for the full council to see, because, we've talked about this over the years, and with funding. And I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and this is slick.
It is, and that's there's a lot of hard work going in there, and Jeff's any program that you introduce to any group of people, there's going to be the stages and the forming of a group, and adoption of the project metamorphosis. So Jeff's championing on the operations side, Darren and Caden are on the IT program management side, and then we've got Scott Wolf, and then we're also integrating it into our parks and our facilities. City Hall is a brand new building. We know that everything has a date that it was created. We know the condition that it was in. It's all going to be entered in this program eventually. And then we're going to be able to say, I know that HVAC system is going to last 25 years. We need to program that. And there's an escalator built into this program. We're going to know that Jeff has to do fire testing. It's scheduled here. Here's your PM to get this done. It's going to be tough at first, and it is a big commitment, but I'm thrilled. I mean, our group just went live in February or January, February. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
January.
We called it the sandbox back in October when the crew started playing in it, just to get familiar with it, a lot of training. And then we did go live and they are using it. So, but yes, it is exciting. And there is the downside is we're going to, if it's how you look at it, the half empty, half full, you're going to recognize that there's going to be a need for additional budget in areas. It's going to be, but you're going to have those analytics to make those data-driven decisions.
Well, it beats emergencies.
Yes.
Quick question, another question, sorry. And I apologize, gentlemen, for, just jumping in. What about tie-ins with other systems like Bremerton's water system, West Sound Utilities? Do we have the availability to do something with them, or does it pretty much stops right where the interface happens?
It's going to be where the interface happens. They're going to have their own proprietary. Bremerton has the same program, but they're not going to let outside users into their system.
No, I just didn't know if there was something that was there at the interface, whose responsibility, because, is it something that's, joint? I'm just trying to think outside, what issues would happen where you join a system.
We can identify that their system by a color, like close to our. Jeff's got some probably good input here. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think what you're talking about is ownership of the asset, and identifying it. Yeah, so
Right.
we have the ability in there. It's a layer that Darren or Caden would manage. An attribute about that layer, say if the storm drain, is it in the right of way, then yes, it's a public asset. Or is it something that's in a parking lot? It could be identified as a private asset. Same with water and sewer, where West Sound comes into our city limits. If we get that layer of those utilities from West Sound, and Darren may already have this information, I'm just not aware, we can identify it as West Sound's utility or as Bremerton's utility, and assign it its own attributes and its own color scheme or own symbols.
Thank you.
So we could absolutely do this a more formalized presentation, but it's fun to just kind of drive through and see it. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So if we had a good half hour, 40 minutes, I'm sure we could show you a lot more.
You also could just do it at a city council meeting too, and not a work study. You know, you could do both, either or a presentation.
Yeah, we'll,
Yeah, wherever we could fit it in.
yeah, we'll work with, on our planning process when we have our managers meeting. We'll see what's available. I'm not sure what's on the future agendas, but yeah, we'll for sure get something. And again, so we'll expand it into like our parks. We're about to start entering our parks data. So I know this is the utility meetings, but there's so much capabilities. And just finding out what we actually own. Darren's going to be working on doing a layer in here. We have a lot of city properties that are even outside the city limits. So we're going to identify everything that we actually own as a city. So all of our infrastructure ownership is going to be in here.
Cool.
So, all right. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I got one last quick question on that. You know, the kind of off the tangent. So when you talk about city-owned property and items like that, is there going to be access to you know, like with the partial search and stuff like that for the county, you know, when you want to drill down, is this something that anybody would have access to a certain level, or no, this is strictly within our city confines?
This program will be the city confines. I don't know what Kitsap County's willingness is to do it, but when I was in Southwest Washington, city of Camas is within Clark County. Clark County would put our like stormwater GIS into their system, so the citizens could go in and say, okay, where do I live? What's my jurisdiction? Whose storm system is that? So that might be something that we could share our assets with the county as a layer.
Yeah, just curiosity. Thanks.
I actually think we already have, Dennis, a couple of years ago. They have our
Okay.
utilities in there. I'd have to dig for it, but
Anything else on this, Heidi?
All right. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Darren.
yeah, no problem.
We're gonna move on to item number 2. It's just this was a brief agenda. Project updates, and since Darren's here, the person that's doing the inspections for the Marina Lift Station, he's gonna give some updates.
Well, you guys see some progress down there. It's starting to look like a pump station, right?
Mhm.
Got kind of a building going on there. Generator showing up tomorrow. I'm sure we're gonna get some blowback for closing the road at the waterfront there, but it's necessary. We gotta have a big truck come in there and unload the generator and set it. So you're probably gonna hear about that tomorrow. It's on the website.
Facebook.
Pushed out on Facebook. Met with the business owners, did everything we could to try to smooth it over. No, I think it's on track. They're out of the ground now, so we shouldn't have any more surprises. Should be pretty straightforward.
It-
Knock on wood.
I believe the timeline was, Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was a operation sometime in September, October timeframe.
We're still tracking for fall, correct, Darren?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when does the other lift station come down then shortly thereafter, or is that tied in with the whole marina project?
You talking the one down at the Ford store?
No,
No.
the
The old structure.
old structure. Yeah.
When is the new one back online? When are they not bypass pumping anymore? Is that the question?
I think it's the old building on the waterfront that's gonna be
Yes.
a lookout.
Oh, yeah, well, they'll demo that. That's not gonna be at the end. That won't be too far out. And
Okay.
then it won't have a raised deck there. It'll just be the same level as the sidewalk in front of it.
Nice.
And then I don't know if anybody's been down there recently, but you can really get a sense what the new elevation is gonna be down there. So it's quite surprising.
A question, when you put the generator in tomorrow, is that gonna do one day and then the road will be open again, or is it gonna take
Well,
a
so
couple days?
the foreman down there didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So I honestly think the generator is going to show up at noon and they should be done setting it in 4 or 5 hours and they'll open the road back up. But we didn't want to say, yeah, it'll be open at 4 o'clock and then it's 6 o'clock and it's still not open. So sometimes things go wrong. You know, there's issues with setting it, getting it off the truck. So we're just, what we put on the website is midnight to midnight.
Yeah, well, that's good though, yeah.
And this is the parking lot, so parking lot number 2, it's just
Yeah.
half of that parking lot will be closed.
Mm.
But we did do a lot of public notification and outreach,
But
so.
it's coming along and we haven't had any, you know, when you're taking something on like that, not having a spill between the beginning and the end. Sewer spill is kind of a big deal, and knock on wood again, we've been doing pretty good.
Thanks, Darren. So, and then just the FYI, so the transportation committee, Councilmember Fenton was part of that. We did go, the next phase is we're going to 90% for the Bay Street improvements, which is tied to that project as well. So everything's moving along as far as the design. So, all right. So next project update, Scott's going to be able to help out with this. We're getting close. So 660 Reservoir.
So yeah, the 660 reservoir, we did get DLH approval on it. So it's approved by the state of Washington. We still have a few permits within our own organizations to finish it out. But right now, we're waiting on a back T. Once we get the back T back good, it's going to be online from that day forward. So yeah.
It's storing water.
So that's one of the towers. What about the second tower?
So that's the only tower. I think you're referring back to well 11, which is the McCormick pump station. Is that what you're talking about?
There's an existing tower next to the 660.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there is. There's the 550, which is fairly new. We did have some warranty work done on that last year for the coating on the inside, or year before last. But that's been in service. So
That's okay. Yeah, they were independently. For some reason,
Mhm.
I thought they were together. Thank you.
It throws me off too. 2 different zones and they're next to each other.
Yeah.
Well, what was together was the old 450,000 gallon reservoir and the 580. They're kind of working together right now to provide water, because you still have the city providing water on the north side of Old Clifton Road, which is Bremerton's water system. So that's probably what you're thinking of.
Thank you.
Right. And then well 11, we are waiting on the pump motor, I believe. That's the last thing, and some lead time issues, but that is the last thing holding up well 11. And Scott, is there anything else in that one? Or Darren?
no, that's exactly what we're waiting for. Once we get that, then they'll do a test run on it, the well pump, and then they can demo the old pump house. So once that is online permanently, so that'll be nice.
Great. And then radio meter integration. We are waiting for 1 or 2 steps left. So our antennas are installed at the 660 and Morton reservoirs that are just going to read all of our radio meters. There's 300 manual replacements that need to happen throughout the city, which is just a fraction of what was out there. I think we had, was it 4,200-ish that we've converted to radio reads? So substantially complete. These manuals are just going to take time as we knock them away, because they're really time involved. So Jeff, did they get out and do that work yet for that one last piece where they had to get the GIS?
The GPS, the antenna running out. We were waiting for confirmation from Greg on that one, if we could go out the penetration that has the 6-inch ductile in it, or if we could use the vented screen above it.
Okay.
I don't know if he got back to Scott yet.
He did. We can go out through the blow off or the discharge line space,
Okay.
simply because then it doesn't affect the airflow for the reservoir. And yeah, he gave me a
Okay.
verbal go ahead on it already, so I can give him to write something up if that's needed. But
No, that's just tell Day Wireless. So there's just one, they
Okay.
basically have to run 8 feet worth of conduit, and we are just waiting on our vendor to set up finance with training, and they're going to be able to flip a switch and read meters from City Hall.
Yep.
So that was a big project. So
So what I heard out of this is that basically we have 90% installation on the radio meters, water meters, that
98,
98%, okay,
Yeah, but
98%.
the
And that we're just waiting for testing with integration with finance to flip the switch and start that.
Yep, it's
Awesome.
close, and it's not on finance. It's the vendor that if you're going to beat anybody up, if
Right.
anybody can get beat up, it's the vendor.
No, it's the vendor.
All right.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. So their finance is exciting. They hit me up every time they see me about it. So everybody's excited because it's going to save a tremendous amount of staffing time as far as reading meters and on both sides, finance and operations. So. And then sewer plant update, we are going to have a draft of our sewer plant update from Contour any day. That'll be a few month review period. We'll have to get it to city council for review and comment. And then eventually later in the year, hopefully we adopt it. And with that, we are also working on our rate study as part of the sewer plant study. And I didn't list it. Our water plan is still with the Department of Health. I think it's been over 6 months and we have not heard back from them. Scott was reaching out to them just as a reminder that we want to see what their feedback is, but we have not heard yet.
Well, I believe everybody was online when we were, that the sewer advisory committee is still waiting for DOE to give them some feedback on some of their permits. So I think we're all in the same boat, so to speak.
So that brings us to other business. I had one thing I wanted just to clarify from our council members, our committee members. What is your preference, in person or Zoom or a hybrid for these meetings? And do you want to do 4:30 or 5 o'clock? I know it's council night, so I wasn't sure if we've done it both ways. So I wanted to get your feedback on that.
Well,
Heidi?
I would go, I like to meet in person. I mean, this gives us enough time. We had a meeting and then get back. When I go to city council, it'll be my 4th meeting today. But, I could be up in the air, honestly, because as long as I can get out of here and wrap things up at the house and then get back to city council at 6:30. Because these are only like an hour, if that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't mind Zoom.
Yep, I'd say Zoom at 4:30 works.
Okay.
So that works for everybody.
I always think it's important to meet in person. We get to do that tonight, which I think is the most important meeting of the month, right?
Oh.
Council meetings.
100%.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees. I do think this works really convenient for the staff that you have here because they're running home and it makes us all get together more often. So I think it works out.
Well, if we want to, revisit this when Eric's here, we can do that next meeting.
Okay.
On that side.
I'm gonna set up a reoccurring appointment, and we can always change it. So
Yeah.
4:30, got it.
Last time. Yep.
Are all you guys at home or here at the office in the city? The staffs?
Scott's in the grass.
I know.
No, actually, I'm in the office today.
We're all in the
but-
office.
Yep, in the office.
Yeah, I mean, if it works to meet at 5 o'clock in the office, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, they're at their office, so they're a different location. They'll have to, yeah.
All right,
Hey,
let's revisit this then.
Okay, I do have a question though, and it goes back to the water meters. I remember Charlie was saying that the legislator, the new law, because of the EMFs. Now, I think that's putting one of the meters like on the house. Our water meters, it's just a small one, right? It's and it goes out by the roadside.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's the only thing different than the old style water meters is I mean they're digitalized now, right? Some of them are mechanical, but now they're all digitalized. But the radio receiver, if you ever are like if you see the old water valves like on sidewalks, you'll see they have like a little puck on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the antenna, right, Scott?
Yep.
That's, yeah, and so it's no more bigger than what was there before.
Right, yeah, it doesn't go on the side of the house, is what I'm
No.
saying. It's the one that goes out by by the walkway or the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's within the meter box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just kind of a littler one, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I believe also maybe alluding to somebody had, I'm not sure if it was a lawsuit or a question about collecting data information. It wasn't out of Port Orchard. It was somebody else, I think,
No.
that was filing that. I don't know if you heard that one, Dennis, or not.
I did, we did do some security inquiries with this. It's an encrypted radio signal, right? So this is radio transmission, which I don't know how that works, but it's through radio signal that it transports these numbers, and there's no client personal information, no bank accounts, no billing information. It's just the numbers of the meter read that's transmitted.
Yeah, and ours is small out by the road. The one I was talking about, or I think what they were complaining on, I mean, I saw a video on it. It was on the news, and it's a bigger one that it goes right to the house. And so that guy was saying, no, that's a lot of the EMFs coming right through the house. And it was a bigger one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was attached. So
Uh,
this is different.
Yeah, gas meters are using them now, and those are typically up on the house, right next to the house. And then the public utility power meter or the PSE meters, those are on the house. So yeah, but it's a very low frequency.
Mhm.
But is there any other business?
Nope, I'm good. Heidi, are you good?
I'm good.
All right, good of the order. The meeting's adjourned then.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.